the host and the listeners about their relationships. This show is not an attempt to assess, diagnose, or treat any mental health or illness condition. Please consult your physician, psychiatrist, or psychotherapist for personal matters.
Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat with Dr. Foojan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inner Voice Show. I'm Dr. Foojan Zeine and have Sean in studio. Now, this is a show about what matters most in our life, our minds, our thoughts, feelings, actions, relationships, the way that we feel fulfilled in this beautiful journey of life. So in this show, I'll bring you the latest research. Actually, I'm going to bring you two of the latest research that were just published this past week. And then we'll talk to Sunny Chase. She's a radio host and a television host. And we're going to talk to her and talk about the conversations that are best suited for all of us, and especially in how to balance our life when we're very busy. And then right there, when you can call us, you can talk to us, you can talk to Sunny and I together, or if you have any other questions that you have about your life, you could definitely call and love to speak with you. So call us on the studio, 951-922-3532, 951-922-3532. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Dr. Foojan Zeine is a psychotherapist, a marriage and family therapist, and a life coach with more than 27 years of experience. She is the author of the Awareness Integration Model, which has been researched and published in numerous international journals. Dr. Foojan has offices in Beverly Hills, Irvine, and Woodland Hills, California, and also consults online and by telephone. Make an appointment with her today by calling 818-648-2140 or go online to www.foojan.com. That's www.foojan.com.
Join the conversation every Monday afternoon at 3 p.m. Pacific for Inner Voice, Heartfelt Chat with Dr. Foojan. Dr. Foojan has a direct approach to getting you to free your mind. Inner Voice is a live call-in show where you can chat about your life and all that matters to you in your relationships. Inner Voice, Heartfelt Chat with Dr. Foojan, Monday afternoons at 3 p.m. Pacific on Smart Talk, KMET 1490 AM, and on the Internet stream.
Well, let me tell you about the latest research. The first one is going to make all of you happy because the research says that happy older people, and you can start when you're young, but happy older people live longer, according to researchers at Duke Medical School in Singapore. Now, in a study published today in Age and Aging, the scientific journal of the British Geriatric Society, the authors found that an increase in happiness is directly proportional with a reduction in mortality. Now, the study utilized data for 4,478 participants of a nationally representative survey to look at the association between happiness assessed in the year 2009 and subsequent likelihood of dying due to any cause until December 2015. Now, the survey was focused on individuals aged 60 years and older living in Singapore. Happiness was assessed by asking the survey participants how often in the past week they experienced the following: I felt happy, or I enjoyed life, or I felt hope about the future. Now, their responses were considered in two distinct ways: a happiness score and a binary happiness variable, happy or unhappy. Now, a wide range of demographics, lifestyle choices, health, and social factors were also accounted for in this analysis. The researchers found that among happy older people, 50% passed away until December 2015. In contrast, the corresponding proportion was higher, at 20% among unhappy older people. Now, every increase of 1 point of happiness score lowered the chance of dying due to any cause among participants by an additional 9%. So the likelihood of dying due to any cause was 19% lower for happy older people. Further, the inverse association of happiness with mortality was consistently present among men and women and among the young old, ages between 60 to 79 years, and the old, ages 75 years or older. Now, the findings indicate that even small increments in happiness may be beneficial to older people's longevity. Therefore, individual level activities as well as government policies and programs that maintain or improve happiness or psychological well-being may contribute to a longer life among older people. And the consistency of the inverse association of happiness with mortality across the age groups and gender is pretty insightful. Men and women, the young old and the old, all are likely to benefit from an increase in happiness. An interest in the pursuit of happiness to improve the health of the older people has been growing, while previous studies have linked happiness or positive emotions with a range of better health outcomes. The evidence on the effect of happiness on living longer has been inconclusive. So many of these studies do initially observe a greater extent of happiness to be associated with a lower likelihood of dying. But this link disappears once the differences in demographic, lifestyle, and health factors between those less and more happy are accounted for. So guess what? Start getting happy, because when you are happy, you're going to live longer and a longer, healthier life. This is what it's being told to us. So do everything possible. If you don't know how to be happy, find out. Go to life coaches, go to books, go to therapy, go to everywhere that you can find well-being. And I think you deserve to be happy. So let's start doing that. Now, the next research also gives us a positive angle about what is it that we can do if we got into trauma. So in an effort to help protect children from intergenerational vulnerabilities associated with parental trauma and stress, researchers at the Iroquois National Primate Research Center, Emory University, have shown for the first time in an animal model it is possible to reverse influence of parental stress by exposing the parents to behavioral interventions following their own exposure to stress, so they just won't give it to their next generation. York's researcher, Dr. Brian Dias, led the research team in the discovery that has important implications for preventing future generations from bearing influences of stressors their parents faced before the children were conceived. The study results are published online in Biological Psychiatry. In the study, Dias and his research team performed olfactory cue-based fear conditioning experiments in adult male mice to identify optimal strategies to break the cycle of intergenerational stress. Now, they began the study with each mouse participating in one of the three protocols: expose the mice to an odor, train the mice to associate an odor with a mild stressor, or train the mice to associate the odor with a mild stressor and then healed it, extinguished the fear via extinction training, during which the researchers presented the odor in an absence of any stress. So the researchers used two types of odors, acetophen, known for its cherry blossom-like smile, and then Lirol, which has a woody scent. By extinguishing parental fear to the two specific odors, the researchers found three key results. The offsprings did not show any behavioral sensitivity to the same two odors. The nervous system of the offsprings did not show any structural imprints of the parental olfactory stress. And the sperm of the parental male mice did not bear chemicals imprints of the olfactory stress. Now, these results in the mouse model are an important public health contribution because they provide optimism for applying similar interventional approaches in human and breaking intergenerational cycles of stress. Constantly, I see in the 28 years that I've been doing psychotherapy that when someone is stressed and they've been traumatized as a child or in their life, if they have not gone through and healed their stress and healed the the trauma that has happened, and they've lived with the post-traumatic stress disorders, that type of trauma, one way or another, has come back in and relived in their children. We see that a lot. So this research really gives us kind of the responsibility and the accountability that if we go through something, it's our responsibility to take care of ourselves and really make ourselves healthy. Because if we want to create the next generation, then we're responsible in what we offer the next generation. So I hope that these two were helpful. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with Sunny Chase. We're going to have a beautiful, heartfelt communication. She's an awesome lady, and I love to have her on the show and share her with all of you.
Were you recently injured in a car accident? Then you need the law offices of Aria Thadakar for your free case evaluation. Don't let the medical bills pile up, and don't let the insurance companies try to settle your claim for a few $100s. Call 714-464-3246. The law offices of Aria Thadakar serves all of California. If they don't win, you don't pay. So call now, 714-464-3246. This is a paid-for attorney advertisement by the law offices of Aria Thadakar of Orange, California.
Have you ever wished you could just wake up one day, reach across your nightstand, and hit the life reset button? Let's face it, the struggles and frustrations of everyday life leave millions of women and men around the globe yearning for a new way. And the new way is right here in Life Reset, the awareness integration path to create the life you want, by Dr. Foojan Zeine. You can get it now at Foojan.com or Amazon.com. Life Reset, the awareness integration path to create the life you want. You deserve it.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Inner Voice Show. I'm Dr. Foojan Zeine. And I am so excited to have Sunny Chase with me. She's the host of the Sunny Chase Show, enjoyed on Universal Broadcasting Network, iHeartRadio, and Mindalia TV. Now, she's chatted with over 300 luminaries of politics, of sacred living, social justice, and compassionate connection in all aspects of life. Her guests have been Marianne Williamson, Dr. Michael Beckwith, Lynn McTaggart, and many, many, many more. And yours truly. I was actually her guest, and I loved being on her show. Sunny is the chief strategic partner and feature writer for the Los Angeles magazine Whole Lifetimes, and she also sits on advisory boards of many NGOs and global events. Sunny, it is so nice to have you with us.
Hello, Doctor. I'm so grateful and honored to be with you today. This is so awesome. So excited.
It's usually so exciting to be able to talk to you. I had such a good time when you had me on your show, and we had such a great conversation that I thought, hey, we could have an amazing conversation with my audience, and I would prefer to share you with them the way that you shared me with yours.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to dive in here.
So let's talk about all that you do and the work that you do and what is important to you.
Well, actually, I do a lot of things, and we all do a lot of things, and we're all important in our lives, and we all feel a lot of feelings and emotions about life right now. With some of us feel really connected in our community, some of us feel disconnected. There's a lot of conversation right now about social media and if that makes us more or less connected with young people, older people. Earlier you were talking about happiness keeping us alive longer and also the quality of our lives. Not only in that study do I think it's that people live longer, but just the actual fun and games that we have all day as we're older are better.
Yes.
So we can chat a lot about what I do, but I'd rather chat, or we can drop that in, but I'd love to chat about something that's going on with me right now, which is really balancing out my social activist fire that I've had, almost to the point of frustration and anger that things aren't going better, let's just say in the environment, let's just say politics, let's just say, with different issues, social justice, human trafficking. I mean, there are many issues to be upset about. And I am working right now in my older years here, I'm a little older than 40 now, in how to balance out my own happiness, my own feeling of self-worth and my own purpose with feeling that I'm being an excellent activist and responsible. And that's a tough one. So that's does that sound like a fun thing to talk about?
I love it. I think that my experience have been going through kind of like the extreme, utter powerlessness at times. And it brings fear for me. It brings anger for me. And then go on to the next level of, well, what is it that I can do? And then with the fear, as am I doing the right thing? Am I not being challenged by things that are really just being, I'm being manipulated by certain news that are not there, or certain news that comes into the social media that is not there. I think part of the fear that I have is, what am I dealing really with? Like, in order to pick up any particular concept, and I'm not just taking whatever is coming at me, but really have to research to see what am I doing. I think it takes responsibility. It takes time and effort to get to know what you are, what's important for you, and take a step for it.
Yeah, and I think that in this day and age where we can find out information about absolutely, almost everything at our fingertips, I think it can be overwhelming. And so what I also chat with people about is finding our passion and sort of staying in that lane a bit, because there are so many areas that can really wipe us out and wipe out our our adrenals and give us the feeling of futility, like you were saying earlier. And I think that if we can stay in a lane or two or three, perhaps, then we can. It's easier to do what you're suggesting, which is diving deeper, researching more, knowing what's really happening. And I also like for myself to, at this point, reach for what feels best for me. Find when I'm starting to feel stressed out or just sad or not feeling like I'm doing enough, it's like, okay, can I be quiet and can I just reach for what's going to make me feel better? It's going to make me feel impactful. It's going to make me feel useful. And it might mean that I make a phone call to a friend of mine who's not doing as well as they'd like. And it might mean that I do a really big thing or something in the middle. But that's one of the strategies that I've been using lately.
The strategy of taking care of yourself, I think what you're saying is so important for all of us. I know that I was so exhausted by Saturday after having my clients, my online clients. I'm doing a lot of online therapy. So online clients plus office clients and the rest of life. And I remember, Sunny, by Saturday noon, I wanted to cry. Like, I had a TV show and I was sitting with my guest on the TV show, and I looked at her and I said, I don't even want to talk today. I'm going to just let you talk because I am so tired. I just want to sit on camera and cry because I am so tired. And right after that, I had a phone call, and one of my clients says, my son is going to, talking about suicide. And so I was so exhausted, and then I had to be there for another human being. By Saturday night, I was beat. I could not create a being out of myself to be anywhere. And I get that not taking care of ourselves, we can't be for anybody else. So like you said about take care of yourself the way you can, whether it's calling someone, whether it's being with someone, whether it's taking a rest, all of that is important first to see who you are, and then you can offer yourself to the world.
Right, and in my life, I feel that all of that is possible. I sometimes feel that if I feel a little down, or I feel a feeling of futility, or I'm not saving the world when it comes to plastic bottles, or when I go to a restaurant and not having people use straws. I mean, sometimes I realize that there are places for me to play, like I say, staying in our lane, or finding out what our lane is and then really activating that lane. And then I also remind myself at this point that there are many, many people who are doing lots of great things. And I want to remind all of your listeners and viewers to know that, because I think sometimes we really get down about, oh gosh, the young people are this and the older people are that, and the other side of the party is whatever. And there are just, in my line of work, with working with so many authors and writers and musicians and founders of NGOs, and kids. I mean, there is so much being activated right now. I just want to celebrate that, and I want all you guys to know that. So, you know what? There are lots and lots of people doing lots and lots of things. So I say that for a word of upliftment to us.
And that's exciting. I think that the midst of complete utter powerless, when you think and as you listen to the news, that nothing is going on and nothing's going well, and all that happens is your anger, what I hear from you and what you're facing every day is this concept of there's so many beautiful human beings who have taken on causes beyond themselves and beyond their daily life that would just matter to them. They've taken on beautiful causes, which is way bigger than them. And to also join in any of the cause that you want also makes you happier.
Oh, yeah. There's so many things happening. And I have a lot of family in politics, and for example, and I know you don't really talk about politics, but I want to use that as an example for where we can uplift ourselves, because I ended up writing an article called "We the People of the Iroquois Nation" for the Whole Life Times that you mentioned earlier, that I write for and do a lot of stuff for those guys. And Gina Salvati, the editor-in-chief, and I were talking, and I said I would really love to bring more depth and also bring more positivity about every subject that we can. And I researched the Iroquois Nation, and it is it's actually the Constitution that our Constitution comes from. And in that Constitution that was created hundreds of years ago, it was based on the women elders being the moral compass. There are so many elements of positivity and beauty and looking out 7 generations and taking care of the elders and the nature and the animals, taking care of each other, doing everything in the highest level of integrity. In our Constitution, we have 17 articles. In the Iroquois Nation, Haudenosaunee, it's 117 articles. It is very specific about so many things: children's rights, women's rights, how to separate, like divorce, how to be a politician or a leader. And so I just wanted to read one thing to you about this, because I think this is so true about how we can take this sort of bit to everything. This is this last sort of bit I wrote in this article. And it says, studying the Haudenosaunee, I'm reminded that we have before us the opportunity to insist that our leaders are the most enlightened among us. We do have in our hearts the ability to choose leaders with the highest moral action, care, and thoughtfulness in their collaborative actions. We as a community know what's best for us. We have the power. We can expect our politicians to return to the great law, which is just and right. Look and listen for the welfare of the whole of people, and have always in view not only the present, but also the coming generations. even those whose faces are yet beneath the surface of the ground, the unborn of the future nations. We can create an inspirational movement if we can dream and truly believe in a better way. Let's remember that the soul of America is ultimately one of kindness and caring. As Abraham Lincoln reminds us, let's reveal the better angels of our nature.
That's
So kind of like
beautiful.
that. Thank you.
That's
but I feel
beautiful.
like that's
Yeah.
something. Oh, thank you. That we can put to all of the aspects of our life, whether it's medicine, whether it's just anything, and know that we have those better angels, right? Don't you think? Can we remember that?
Yes. The most important thing that I was also hearing from what you had written and read for us is the element of being on integrity, and integrity not just meaning being honest and transparency, but also meaning that you do things where even if nobody's watching, that you are doing the best that you can possibly do for yourself and in responsibility for what you create and impact others. And I think that when each one of us live that way, and then obviously the ones who take on a leadership role for, the society and the country would also take that route, then we will be living our angels, and all of the angelic quality that we do have will be out there. When the other side lives where being out of integrity becomes such a norm that when we keep seeing it, everybody dismisses it as if that's the norm. Don't worry about it. Everybody's going to do it. I think that's the sad part, where we get, desensitized to the concept of being out of integrity, versus I hope we remain our sensitivity in that realm and come back to strive toward that space of the word integrity, which you mentioned there, and the responsibility and accountability of every action that we do and how it impacts not only everyone around us now, plus the future generation.
Well, yes, and the reason that I wrote this article, and it was tough for me. I mean, I had to research. I didn't have to, but I chose to research so much because I researched our Constitution and then this exquisite action that these 5 different nations, we might call tribes, but nations, came together because there were some challenges in their communities and working together. And to see that, I thought, gosh, if I can bring to the American people, anybody who's reading this article, I mean, it's mainly Los Angeles, but it goes internationally and, of course, nationally for sure, that just exactly as you're saying, we sort of come to this place where we demonize politics and politicians as an example. And when I was thinking, gosh, if we can raise up and remember that we have the responsibility, I feel, and the right and the clarity to know that we can expect the best from our leaders. We can expect the best, and perhaps other people, and this can be in any, like you're saying, any leadership. It can be school boards or people, the presidents of PTAs, or just wherever, that it's really, really about the service, and it's not about the corruption of power, and that just is not normal. It may be normal, but it's not natural. Right?
Yeah. And I think it might be natural also for the human race, because you keep seeing it in the history, in how much the human race, in a sense, and part of who we are is strive for power, and then when we taste the power, it just we want to hold it and then use at most benefit, and somehow holding that power appears to be maybe misusing it and abusing others. But we also have side by side other human beings that have taken that power and not misused it and utilized it in betterment of the world. Like, sometimes I just wish that I had enough time to look at all that leaders in businesses, in every industry of the world, and every country of the world have taken their time to do their leadership in a way that it has led to all of our betterment, moving forward, creating better life for all of us. So both leaderships are out there, because if the good leadership wasn't there, we would have been distinct by now. We would all be dead. So there must be other types of leadership out there. As you were talking, and you talk to them on your shows, and you go and see what they're doing, that they're just amazing out there. And how much can we come toward them and kind of like not give a lot of time to the leaders who are not doing that.
Well, exactly. And there are many, many leaders. I mean, of course, we think of the Dalai Lama, who's a beautiful example of politics and spirituality coming together. And there have been many, many more leaders around the world, of course. And then there are leaders in business who have been able to model doing things that really make sense for the people, having 4-day work weeks and giving people proper payment for their work and incentives. And I don't know if you know this, but hot dog on a stick, which I absolutely love. I've been having hot dog on a stick, it's in Santa Monica here. And all of the people who work for Hot Dog on a Stick, by the way, all the girls and guys who wear those hats and make the hot dogs have an ownership in Hot Dog on a Stick. I don't know if you knew that.
No,
so the owner who created
I love their hot dog, but I didn't know their business model. That's fantastic.
The dad, or the I forgot his name right now. I'm blanking right now, but he started it with his kids and everything. And then when he created it, all the employees who came in have an ownership in the business. And so, there are many of these that we don't know. Like you're saying, you may not know. There are many, many. And when I had I was a clothes designer, and I had my business, and I made sure that I asked the people who made my clothes. I did everything in the States, but I asked them what they wanted. In other words, I did very expensive $1,000 coats, so they were more couture. When I had a new design, I asked the seamstresses to make them 3 times for me. Not the first time, because it would take them a long time. But by the 3rd time, they would be into a rhythm, and I would say, okay, how much money works for you? They would tell me, and I just budgeted it in. And the loyalty that I had from them was so different than if I had even asked, if I even told them, okay, no, I'm going to bargain with you, and I'm going to charge, you're going to charge me $3 less. Well, they would take that $3 less, but they would have a little sadness about it. They'd have a little resentment. It's like, damn it, So I learned that just even personally, seeing the benefit of really honoring people all the time. It just makes sense, dollars and cents.
It does. It really, obviously we're all living together on this earth, and we need each other. If we are a species that, we're a herd species, we need each other to move forward. Our family systems are supposed to be intact. The child of a human being cannot live if they don't have parents or a village or a group that raises them. So obviously we all need each other. So the concept of taking care of ourselves and then each other, it should be a natural essence for us. And it's just that I think that sometimes we make it that, okay, I'm going to take care of these 4 people because they're my family, or there's someone that are on my corner, and then everybody else on the face of the earth goes into the other corner, where I can either stereotype or not like, or have some sort of a negative judgment about them, or give myself the right to abuse them or use them, or just pretty much ignore them or not care for them. And that might, if we shift that we're all here together. And it's not just 4 of you against the world, or some of you against the world, but in one way or another, the person that you are not taking into account today will be in a space that they will not do that to you another time, because you will all not always be on top. And we won't get to top without all of us being together. And even when you get there, you won't be there all the time. There will be a time that you will need to kind of step down. And the way that you have been is going to reflect upon you and also reflect whether you're going to be happy or not. And most of the research, as you also know, that giving to others and giving as a systematic way, as a human to human, makes people more happier and fulfilled.
Absolutely. And there are 2 points that you were making there that I wanted to speak to, and that is, first of all, anybody who's the CEO of a company, so sorry, Buddy and Buddy S, but they must know, and a lot of them don't, unfortunately, and some do, is that there's absolutely no way that they would be making that money if it wasn't for hundreds of people who show up every day to do whatever. You know what? The top of the building all the way to the bottom, if it's somebody big, I won't mention names, but everything has to be cleaned. The lights have to be on. There's so many elements that have to go on. And so I just, again, I'm old enough to remember that when businesses, when I was a little girl and I looked around at different businesses, because I was observant of these things for some weird reason, I would notice that there was just far more respect. And the top person, the CEO, the percentage of how much they made compared to the, let's just say, lowest person was whatever that percentage was. Now it's almost 100 times that. So the disconnect there and not really understanding. I mean, like, I was very aware that every single person who worked for my company, I could not make my money without all of them. I relied on them so much, and so I respected them so much. So that I just wanted to say. And then you were speaking of studies recently, and there's a recent study that came out about giving and receiving. And there's a study that came out of Harvard recently where the person who's giving, there are the different things, as you know, as a doctor, the enzymes and the hormones that are released when someone gives something. Then there's the receiver, who, of course, has a lot of good vibes. And then they have found that the person that witnesses it has almost as much, and in some cases actually more, physiological reaction in a positive way than the giver and the receiver. Isn't that just the coolest? So that's like modeling for our children.
It really is. I've experienced this also, and I'm positive you have, when I've gone to actual fundraising events versus just paying online every month for the different organizations that I pay and I join and I support. But I know that during the during the year, I purposely go to many of the events because of the same thing. Like, when you're there and feel exhilarated about all of the people who are sitting there and experiencing their generosity. Some people give their names and they're announced, but most of the people who are sitting there, these are anonymous donors. They're not there because they want somebody to hear their name and how much they paid. They're really there to be a part of this beautiful cause, to experience firsthand how their contribution, their time, their money, their love, their giving, all kind of put something, and then they can see the results because they're there with, hearing the reports and all of that. So I have actually experienced that while sitting when somebody else gives a tremendous amount of either resources or finances, way, way, way above that I could give. But I feel the same exhilaration of that kind of, generosity. So that's absolutely true.
Well, yeah, and also it's the small act. I remember one time I was with my kids and I was going into a sort of a healthy fast food place, we'll just say. And there was a guy who was sitting there who looked homeless, and that's my judgment. I'm not really sure, but anyway, he was sort of sitting outside, and we went in, and then this person came out, or just before we went in, we witnessed this person coming out who handed this guy food, like he just ordered food for him and brought it out, and a drink and a sandwich and, whatever, and just kind of gave it to him and said, okay, have a good day, man. Like, he just kept walking. It was like not a big deal. And my kids and I were just like in tears. I mean, it was one of those things where I said, you know what, talk about anonymous giving, acts of random kindness. which we love, 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 and anonymous acts of random, although there's probably no random kindness. It's just kindness.
Yeah.
uh, but, like
I
that.
think anger is contagious, but also love is. Love and generosity is really also contagious. And I think we all have some gift. And with that, I think we can give. Now, Sunny, can you wait with me? Because it's time for us to also honor our sponsors. We're going to be right back. We're talking to Sunny Chase. And I'm Foojan Zeine, and we would also love to talk to all of you who are listening and maybe driving and want to call us, or at home or at office, and you want to talk to Sunny Chase and I. You can call us at 951-922-3532. So Sunny, don't go anywhere, and every one of you guys, don't go anywhere. We're coming back, and we're going to talk about how do you find what's important for you? What tools do you have? What gifts do you have in your heart? And how are you going to use it for the betterment of you and everyone else?
Were you recently injured in a car accident? Then you need the law offices of Aria Thadakar for your free case evaluation. Don't let the medical bills pile up, and don't let the insurance companies try to settle your claim for a few $100s. Call 714-464-3246. The law offices of Aria Thadakar serves all of California. If they don't win, you don't pay. So call now, 714-464-3246. This is a paid-for attorney advertisement by the law offices of Aria Thadakar of Orange, California. Dr. Foojan Zeine is a psychotherapist, a marriage and family therapist, and a life coach with more than 27 years of experience. She is the author of the Awareness Integration Model, which has been researched and published in numerous international journals. Dr. Foojan has offices in Beverly Hills, Irvine, and Woodland Hills, California, and also consults online and by telephone. Make an appointment with her today by calling 818-648-2140 or go online to www.foojan.com. That's www.foojan.com.
Have you ever wished you could just wake up one day, reach across your nightstand, and hit the life reset button? Let's face it, the struggles and frustrations of everyday life leave millions of women and men around the globe yearning for a new way. And the new way is right here in Life Reset, the awareness integration path to create the life you want by Dr. Foojan Zeine. You can get it now at Foojan.com or Amazon.com. Life Reset, the awareness integration path to create the life you want. You deserve it.
Join the conversation every Monday afternoon at 3 p.m. Pacific for Inner Voice, Heartfelt Chat with Dr. Foojan. Dr. Foojan has a direct approach to getting you to free your mind. Inner Voice is a live call-in show where you can chat about your life and all that matters to you in your relationships. Inner Voice, Heartfelt Chat with Dr. Foojan, Monday afternoons at 3 p.m. Pacific on Smart Talk, KMET 1490 AM, and on the Internet stream.
And now, back to our program.
You really left me when I needed you bad, and I know I'm to blame. Don't forget, I'll always love you just the same.
Don't forget, I love you just the same. Welcome to the Inner Voice Show again. I'm Dr. Foojan Zeine and talking to Sunny Chase. Sunny, let's talk about how do we find what's the best of us, the tools that we have, and how do we use it?
I think that, one of the ways, I don't know if I would say there's the best way, but there are some really beautiful ways, which would be to reach for what feels good. I think that's the most important thing. Last week I had an issue that was going on with me that was challenging me, and it had to do with other people. And I felt that I communicated everything as well as I could, and some things just went a certain way that I just wasn't feeling good about it, doctor. I just wasn't feeling good. And I thought, son, you've got to just be quiet and reach for what is going to make you feel better about the situation. What is it? And so I just meditated about it. I know we use that a lot these days, or just use that term, but I was very quiet. And I also opened my mind to creative options with this particular situation. I was thinking in a box a little bit, and I thought, shh, let's quiet down, let's expand, and let's reach for something, because everything I was reaching for wasn't making me feel better. So finally, something came in, just another thought, and I thought, and I was just like, oh, that's it. So that's one tool that I highly recommend. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. I think the way I've used that is I sit down, and sometimes I can sit down, sometimes I need to walk because the intensity is so hard that when I sit down, I get more anxious. So sometimes it's just walking helps really to get this body flow and get the energy flow. And I've tried many times just to experience like the sunshine, even if I'm inside, to imagine the sun just pouring the light, kind of the warmth light on me. And I request for all the love that is around the world out there to for me to have access to it, and for me to be part of that love. So that just the idea of that lightens me up and makes me happy. And it's just, it takes me away from that feeling of darkness and gloom and doom. And it creates a lot of power for me.
Well, I love that. And I'm reminded of the term enlightenment. And one time I had Tom Shadyac on my show. Some of you guys may know him. He was the director of a lot of the Jim Carrey movies, Bruce Almighty and all that, and the beautiful movie I Am, which I highly recommend everyone seeing. And when he was on my show, he reminded me, he said, the word is enlightenment. And I thought, that's true. Lighten up, people.
Yes.
That, and also the idea of creativity in our challenges, issues, that the creativity, I think, if we allow that for ourselves, to just be quiet and reach for some other options. You know, sometimes we have a couple that we always go to, but they aren't always the best for us. And if we allow ourselves to become solutionaries, we can really use that. What are the solutions that we may not have thought of before, and allow some other creative juices to flow about that particular situation or person or challenge.
And sometimes it's the solution itself that might be different, and sometimes it might be the way that we look at things are different, and that by itself changes the whole path of that concept. And that might not be, I mean, you might do exactly the same thing, but from a different angle and a different view, and it's going to have a different feel for you. So the solution, the difference of the creativity could be just a different angle of looking at things, don't you think?
Yes, and also, of course, we think of timing, and there are so many philosophers, including the Dalai Lama, who talk about the concept of what really makes us upset is not allowing what is to be. I'm sort of paraphrasing. But again, when something is, I sometimes like to say to people and to myself, love what I have and have what I love. So it's sort of, again, kind of really understanding that what's around us is gratitude. You know, I have a sister who will use the term have to a lot, which will say, I have to pick up my kids, I have to go to the grocery store. And I've often said to many people, let's change that word have to get. I get to go to the grocery store because I have a car, I have money, I can buy groceries, I have a kitchen, I can put food in. I get to do the dishes because I've had people over that we can enjoy a meal together. It shifts the energy so beautifully and so I want to say gracefully and eloquently that it's a good one. I like that one.
Very much, very much. It feels like I have some power in it. It feels, and in the same token, I'm looking
gratitude.
and being grateful for all that I have, because I'm kind of reciting them. I'm saying I get to because I have all of these things, and having it and remembering that I have it also can put me into a grateful state. And the only way that we really, really can feel fulfilled is really creating that gratefulness about what we have, who we are, the acceptance of who we are, and being a part of, a huge amount of people and havings and luxuries and experiences and love that is just around us. I mean, even the luxury of having, I'm not talking about people having mansions. I'm talking having the luxury of having water, having electricity,
Absolutely.
having a roof on top of your head. That's just plain enough luxury.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And I've lived in other countries and I've seen what's considered luxury and what's considered necessity, and it's very, very different in America. Today I was working, speaking of being happy and grateful and loving what one has. I'm so grateful that I have an iPhone in my hand right now because I was stressing out a bit about getting the technology working on my Skype to be on this show with you. And I was getting a little more upset than being grateful for being on your show. And at one point, when I texted you and said, can I call in? It was like, it may not be optimum, but it means that I can still be here with you. I can still be grateful for this opportunity, and I can allow my nervous system to calm down and just enjoy this conversation we're having and not get my panties in a bunch about technology. Yeah. So that's just an example of what I went through today.
Yes, and to end, actually, the conversation we're having is, yesterday I was saying that, we're upset about all this stuff that we hear about the news and this and that. And then I suddenly turned around to my mate and I said, but also look at this. Like, we could be in a lot of countries that, as a person, I cannot get onto the radio and say whatever I want. You, Sonny, you couldn't have your own radio show and say whatever you want. And we can. And I think that by itself holds a lot of gratitude and a blessing to be able to live in a freedom that we actually can. I truly thank you, Sunny, for coming to my show and sharing yourself with us. And give us your last comment to as a gift.
Oh, thank you. Well, I just want to thank all of your listeners out there, and I hope that what we've talked about has been inspiring. And you know what? Check out all of the beautiful things that come to your mind and your ideas and to your life. And check out Whole Lifetimes as an example, and of course all of our shows. And just remember that we do have the power of one, and we use it wherever we go, So bless you all. Thank you.
And take care of yourself. Have an amazing, amazing life and create an amazing one for yourself and everyone around you. Until next week, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The Inner Voice Show is a dialogue between the host and the listeners about their relationships. This show is not an attempt to assess, diagnose, or treat any mental health or illness condition. Please consult your physician, psychiatrist, or psychotherapist for personal matters.
This is 1490 AM KMET, Banning, Beaumont, Redlands, and Palm Springs. News, talk, sports.
John McCain, but now he's saying more.
President Trump said in a statement Monday afternoon, quote, "Despite our differences on policy and politics, I respect Senator John McCain's service to our country." This after he faced fierce backlash for not saying that